day, everyone. I hope you're all doing great. This is Mariecone Duero, and our lesson for today is all about Theta Roles. But before we proceed, let me read to you our learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, the students will be able to identify Theta Roles, demonstrate understanding about Theta Roles, appreciate the importance of Theta Roles in constructing sentences. Now, what are Theta Roles? Well, Theta Roles are syntactic relations that refer to the semantic or thematic relations. Theta rule is a bundle of thematic relations associated with a particular argument. Now, a theta rule is a grammatical rule that indicates the thematic relation between a verb and its arguments. Theta rules are typically assigned by verbs to their arguments, but there are also cases where nouns and adjectives assign theta rules. Theta rules are usually distinguished from one another by their inherent meaning, which these are agent, patient, them, and etc. But there are also cases where the same theta rule can be expressed by different grammatical functions. It could either be a subject, direct object, and so on and so forth. To further understand what are theta rules, we have here an example. Maddie gave the book to Mary. Maddie is the subject and it's associated with two thematic relations, the agent and the source. The notebook is the theme and it is associated with one thematic relationship, and Mary is the goal. These are what we call thematic relations. Then the underlined words are labeled with what we call theta rule. The agent, the source, or the theme is and the goal is what we call the theta rule. And their relationship is what we call thematic relations. I have here 14 theta rules. These are the agent, instrument, force, experiencer, source, goal, path, location, possessor, benefactive, factative, patient, them, and the last neutral. Our first theta rule is what we call agent. The agent is the entity that intentionally carries out the action of the verb. An agent is usually the grammatical subject of the verb in an active clause. In other words, the agent is the semantic rule of a person or thing, which is the doer or the initiator of the action of the verb within the sentence. For example, Angel threw herself into the sofa. As you notice, Angel is the subject or the initiator of the action threw in the sentence. She is capable of doing the action of throwing. Therefore, it is accurate that Angel is the agent within the sentence. Another example, Zena pushed the door open and went in. In the sentence, Zena is the subject and the initiator of pushing the door open. Therefore, Zena is the agent. The second theta rule we have here, the instrument. The means by which an action is performed or something comes about. The instrument is usually the prepositional objects. It is the means used to perform some action. For example, Shane hit Rhea with a stick. In the sentence, with a stick is the instrument used by the subject in initiating the action of hitting Rhea. Therefore, with a stick is the instrument. Another example, we have here, Angel ate the burrito with a plastic fork. In the sentence, with a plastic fork is the instrument, since it is the tool used by the subject, which is Angel, in order to initiate the action. Third theta rule, we have here what we call force. Force is the semantic rule of an entity that instigates an action, but not consciously or voluntarily. When we say instigates, it means to initiate or bring out an action, not consciously or voluntarily. That is what we call force. From the word itself, it means the cause of motion or change. We have here some examples. First, we have The wind blows debris from the mall into our yards. In the sentence, the wind is the cause of motion, which is the one who blows debris. Therefore, the force in the sentence is the wind. Another example, the typhoon destroyed several houses. In this sentence, the typhoon is the force because it is the cause of destruction of the several houses and it is related to nature. Fourth, we have here the experiencer, the entity that undergoes an emotion, a state of being, or a perception expressed by the predicate. Also, the experiencer can be a subject in the sentence. Normally, an experiencer is an entity that receives a sensory impression or in some other way is the locus of some event or activity that involves neither volition nor a change of state. We have two examples here. First, we have Zaira feels sad. In this sentence, Zara is the experiencer because she is the one feeling sad about something. She undergoes an emotion. She is experiencing the feeling of being sad. Therefore, Zara is the experiencer. Next, Nicole smelled the freshly baked bread. Nicole is the experiencer and not an agent because Nicole is not initiating the action of smelling, but rather Nicole is experiencing the sense of smell of the freshly baked bread. The fifth theta rule is the source. The source is the entity from which something is moved as a result of the activity expressed by the predicate. It is where something originated or it serves as the origin of an action. For example, Ria came from California. Ria is the subject, but the question is, what or where is the source in the sentence? The answer is California because it refers to the origin of the action. The second example we have, Bless brought 2 biscuits from the store. The store in the sentence serves as the origin of an action, and that is why it is the source. The store is the place where Bless brought the 2 biscuits. Next we have the goal. The goal is the entity towards which the activity expressed by the predicate is directed. It is the semantic rule of the place to which something moves. We have here some examples. Shara went to the school library. In the sentence, went is the action, and the destination of the subject is the school library. Therefore, the school library is the goal because it is the destination or the place where the subject is directed. Another example we have, the boy ran to the forest. The forest is the goal since the action run is to get to the forest directed by the subject. Then the seventh theta rule we have here is the path. The path or direction of the motion referred in a sentence. For example, the ball rolled from the door down the hallway to the kitchen. In this sentence, down the hallway is the path because it is the direction where the ball undergoes a motion. It is where the direction of the ball. Next, example, the enemies followed him down the hill. Down the hill is the path because it is the direction where the subject is heading to. Location. The place in which the action or state expressed by the predicate is situated. For example, Ruwana cried at the movie theater. The movie theater is the location. It's because it is the place where the action is situated. The second example we have here, the boy put the doll on the table. On the table is the location because it describes where the action took place. The ninth theta rule we have here is the possessor. The theta rule possessor refers to an object that one has, owns, possesses, or belongs to someone. It talks about ownership. For example, Mark has a book. Mark is the possessor which owns the object book in the sentence. Again, possessor refers to ownership. The second example we have here, Dessa brought her expensive bag. In this sentence, Dessa is the possessor because she was the one who brought the expensive bag. Next is the them. The them is the entity that is moved by the action or whose location is described. It underwent an action or is the topic of the discussion. For example, Donnie gave the book to the woman. In this sentence, Donnie is the initiator, but the book is the thing being given. So the book is our them. This is the thing that is the topic of the discussion that undergoes the action. That is why The book is the them. Another example, Joan threw the plastic bottles to the garbage. Joan is the agent or the initiator of throwing the plastic bottles. The plastic bottles is the object that undergoes the action. So the plastic bottles is our them in the sentence. 11th, benefactive. The entity that benefits from the action expressed by the predicate. Well, I have provided two examples. First, we have Neo cooked spaghetti for Paula. Paula is the benefactive in the sentence because she is the person that benefits from the action of the verb done by the subject, which is the cooked in the sentence. Next, we have Brent solved the math problem for Diana. Diana is the benefactive because she benefits from what the subject did, which Brent solved the math problem for her. Next, we have defactative. It is the semantic rule of a referent that results from the action or state identified by a verb. These are verbs that indicate that the direct object has been changed or placed into a new condition, state, or category as indicated by the object complement. It is the fact that something really happened. Examples of factative verbs are named, judged, deemed, made, appointed, and etc. I have provided examples here. The first one is, the jury judged the defendant not guilty. Judged is defactative because it is the verb in the sentence that indicates that something or someone has been changed or in a new state. Another example, the company appointed the most experienced employee manager. In this sentence, appointed is the factative verb. The most experienced employee is the direct object, and the manager is the object complement. Appointed is a factative verb because it indicates that someone is having his or her status changed. We have here the neutral theta rule. It is the entity that is referred in a sentence which has no control of the action. For example, the pen rolled off the table. Here, the pen is not an agent because the rolled off is not acted by the pen itself. Therefore, the pen is called as a neutral rule. Another example, my mother heard a great news. My mother in the sentence is also not an agent, but it is in a neutral rule because the subject is not really acting of the news, just experiencing it with no control but natural sense. The last theta rule we have here, the patient. The patient is something or somebody that undergoes a change, specifically implied by the verb. Another definition is the patient is the entity that undergoing the effect of some action and often undergoing some change in a state. For example, Sam pruned the trees. The action here is pruned and Sam as the agent. In the sentence, the trees is the entity that is undergoing the effect of the action of pruning. Also, it undergoes a change in state implied by the verb. And this is what we call the patient. Again, the trees is the patient within the sentence. The last example we have, Billy broke the window. The window in the sentence is the patient because it is the thing that undergoes a change and the thing that is referred by the action of the verb. That's all for today. Thank you for listening. Again, this is Mariecone Duero from BS in English 1A.